Welcome back to another brand spanking new episode of The Order of the Blazing Horse, the only Detroit Pistons podcast based on a mystical prophecy. I am one of those prophets touched by a horse in a very appropriate, consensual, ethereal, prophetical, like I said, prophet's way. Harry Morrow's out here in Oopsalani, joined as always by my co-host with the mouse out on the West Coast,
Mickey Jacobs. So glad to be here, Harry, because we got a very special guest today. You know him from Spotrac and the Front Office Show, the sultan of the salary cap, the king of contracts, one of the ball-knowingest writers and analysts in the biz, Keith M.F. and Smith.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much for having me. I'm going to clip that and send it to my mom. I love it.
We're all about
the Sandlot. It felt very much like when they're describing the Great Bambino, just like going through all the kids. Awesome stuff. Keith, we're so fortunate to have you here. Thank you for joining the show, for telling, just like being part of this. We're both fans of franchises that are storied, historic, and going through pretty exceptional seasons. So while we're on that, because if people don't know, Keith is a Boston Celtics fan. We are obviously Pistons fans. Just look at the gear, look at the swag we got going on. Tell us how you've been feeling about like the storylines this season, maybe including Pistons, maybe including the Celtics, but just overall what you've enjoyed about 2025, 2026.
Yeah, we start with the Celtics. I was not convinced that they were going to be terrible. Like a lot of people seemingly thought they were. I looked at it and said, they still have a lot of guys on this roster that have done nothing but win their entire careers. They have a coach who's an absolute maniac and is not going to allow them to do anything but play extremely hard every single night. And we know in the regular season, if you just show up and play hard every game, you're going to get some wins just because not every team does that. And then I thought their talent was being a little underrated. That said, they've been better than I thought they would be. I thought they'd be somewhere down around the play-in line, in that range, a 7-8 line in the play-in tournament. But second in the East, playing really, really well. Jason Tatum is back. When they said that was the goal, I was like, all right, let's see. And now he's back and every game looks a lot more like himself. He just is not, even if he's not always in rhythm and those kind of things, you're just not seeing, there's no hesitations. There's no real trouble with the way he's playing. He's just playing basketball, and that's great to see.
He maybe caught some of that Missoula maniac mindset with like, I'm coming back doing this thing. I can't believe the science behind this, because not many years ago, it took Kevin Durant 18 months. He's back in under 12. That's crazy, especially coming from our perspective. We have Jaden Ivey broke his leg, came back, got it, like kind of re-injured it, and has never looked like himself. And we're also looking at like Jalen Williams in Oklahoma City struggling coming back. We remember Tyrese Halliburton struggling coming back. So to see Tatum come back from what used to be potentially a career-ending injury this fast, psycho to me.
It is Missoula coded. Yeah.
Recovery, watch The Town every day. That's how you do it.
That might have been the plan, while you're laid up. But it's very interesting, to hear them talk about it when they went into a lot of the the details around the surgery. He got it done the next morning. Like he tore it in the evening and it was done the next day. And part of that was they said, hey, we can actually get this done before all the swelling sets in. Once the swelling sets in, it's a month. It's a month before we can go in and even do anything. So there was that part of it. It was also, as much as an Achilles tear isn't good, it was a very clean tear. It was torn in a way where this is a way we can repair this relatively quickly. And then the doctor did the surgery, said everything else about this guy was like exactly where you would want it to be. Going into having to rehab from an Achilles. So, I think pretty cool stuff that, he's, doing pretty good. And, it's certainly remarkable. Cause I remember, I'm old. So I remember like guys tearing an Achilles and it's like, well, see you later. It was fun having you in the NBA for a while. Like, or even if they stuck around, like they were completely different players. So it's great that we're finally at this place where like, hey, we can come back from this. So this is not a career ending or maybe even not a major career changing injury, which is a great place to be in.
It's crazy. Also really got a shout out Ampersand in the chat, our number one guy, says, Keith, your starting lineup figure game is on point, my man. So shout out to you for
That's
that.
the original Dream Team set. So that's where that came from. Can't see it; it's above there, but there's a picture of the original Dream Team. For my money, the best basketball team ever assembled, and it's not something that I think can be argued all that much outside of Christian Leitner. But hey, whatever.
I mean,
Somebody-
over here, we'd maybe argue the best five alive, but those are Rashid's words, not mine.
Yeah.
So who's to say?
But they rhyme, so they're true.
Rashid does say ball don't lie. We got OG in here. He's got some cat pitches for the Pistons. We will get to that at in the near future. I promise you. I mean, that's why we have Keith on the show to talk about this. So that's how like the Celtics have been going. Mickey and I have also been fans of the Celtics players. That's no secret. Mickey, you want to wax poetic about some of the guys
God.
here?
I mean, I love how they've just found guys around the margins. We were talking about Shireman. We were talking about Hugo. Why am I blanking on his name?
Kata's been sick. Like,
Kata's great.
Your boy Luka Garza. Don't forget
Garzilla. I'm blanking on Jordan
Walsh. Jordan Walsh.
Thank you. Yeah.
Was he a Razorback? Is that where he got drafted?
He was.
Yeah,
yes.
I liked it. I've liked a couple of Razorbacks. No lie, like they've had some pretty good guys.
But my main guy is Derek White. I'm a big Derek White stan, and just lust over the idea of him next to Cade Cunningham. But you know what? He's I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. And Jaylen Brown's had an unbelievable season. And no, it's those games this season have been so fun and so down to the wire every time.
Yeah,
it's really, they have a archetype, if you will, of what they want in players, and it is go out there and compete, play hard. And one of the things that I always say, this is a through line from Brad Stevens to Ime Udoka to Joe Mazzulla, has been when somebody is out, because they've had remarkable success. Celtics fans call it hospital Celtics, when it's like 7 guys are out of the lineup and they still do well. One of the things that's been the through line is, for example, a guy like Peyton Pritchard is, hey, don't go out there and try to be Drew Holiday. Don't go out there and try to replace Jason Tatum scoring. Be the best version of Peyton Pritchard that you can be. That's all we need you to be. If you're trying to be one of these other guys, you're just going to fall short. You're not that player. You're different players for a reason. They just ask their guys, be ready. Be ready when the coach calls on you. Jordan Walsh last night against the Hawks, he hasn't played much in the last few weeks as the team has gotten healthier, especially with Tatum back in the lineup. And now he gets in last night and plays great. And it was, really cool to see that, all right, stay ready, roll. Let's go. I'm ready to go. So yeah, it's a fun team. Obviously, I'm very biased, but I've had a blast watching this team this season. It's always fun when you're the, kind of overachievers, which they haven't been in a number of years, because for a number of years it's been, all right, championship or bust. Anything short of that is a failure of a season. Now it's like kind of fun to be like, hey, nobody really expected this.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of sorry, go ahead.
No, you said you took the transition. I was about to say, go for it.
Well, speaking of overachieving, what have your impressions been of the Pistons this season? I mean, obviously we're biased, but I would love to hear your take.
Yeah, I love this Pistons team. I was so excited last year with the way they took just a mega jump from being, I don't want to be rude, but it's not anything Pistons fans don't know, being like the joke of the league, right? Whereas hey, you lose 28 in a row, people are going to laugh at your expense, right? And by the end, I saw Pistons fans are like, I don't know, maybe I don't ever want to win again, because then that'll be at least a record. We'll never be challenged. And I was like, wow, that's where we are. But I loved the fact that they took that leap. Cade Cunningham. So a lot of people know, but if anybody doesn't, I live in Central Florida. I live right down the road from Montverde Academy. My daughter plays soccer there, so I'm over there a lot. So I get to see Cade Cunningham play at Montverde when he was a high schooler, and I was like, this kid's the real deal. Like, he is going to be awesome. That Oklahoma State season was like, the team was horrible, but he was really good. And when the Pistons got him, there was a couple years ago, or maybe even three years ago now, when it was his first year back after he played 10 or 11 games one year. And then his first year back, there are a lot of people like, I don't know if this guy's even actually good, right? Like, that was a real conversation that people were having. And I'm like, how can you not see it? Like, he has no shooting around him. There is nothing what I would watch with Cade Cunningham during that year where they had the long losing streak was he would make the right play, make the right read, clank jump shot, make the right play, make the right read, clank jump shot. Then the third time down, he's like, all right, I'm not throwing it out there for another clank jump shot. I'll take a contested 17 footer because that's as good as a clank jump shot. Because I know once they put real players around him, now he's taking off. If it wasn't for this unfortunate injury in the 65 game rule, he'd be first team All NBA. He'd be on MVP ballots. No, I don't think he would win MVP, but I think he'd be in the conversation, which is, that's incredible in and of itself. And yeah, I love him. I've been a huge Jalen Duren fan. I wrote about Jalen Duren a couple years ago that I would keep him over Jaden Ivey. And Pistons fans kind of came from my head, mostly good naturedly, but they're like, why? Jalen Duren there's 25, 35, 45 other centers in the league who do what he does. He just gets a lot of minutes. And I was like, you could see he's trying to figure stuff out. So I've been a huge Jalen Duren fan. I love Isaiah Stewart too. He's one of my favorite players. I think every good team has a guy like that who's kind of a jerk, right? Like if you will, like especially the other teams. So I'm all about him and the way he plays. And then I think Trajan Langdon has done an incredible job piecing together and assembling this bench, and then giving JB a team that he can work with to kind of pull a lot out of. I think there's still some holes. There's still things that could be improved, but it's important to remember, even though they're in first place in the conference, this is like year 2 of being good. And year 1 was a complete surprise that they were as good as they were. So of course there's going to be a few holes, but they're really good and playing really, really well.
I mean, you could argue that this year is also a complete surprise. They've been so good so long this season. I think many analysts and podcast hosts have forgotten that they ranked them like 6th in the East at the beginning of the year. Like, oh, the Pistons have been good all year. You weren't saying that. I called them maybe 3rd at best on my like mad homer, and that's like the 3rd homer drop that we've been here. But Trajan bet on the development of his players, and he didn't bet on buying high at the trade deadline. He didn't bet on buying high in free agency. The one bet he lost, or I guess the one deal he lost on it sounded like they were trying to go after Nickeil Alexander-Walker instead of Karis LeVert. And if he'd gotten that deal, where would this team be right now? Like
in first place in the East.
Right, yeah, I guess that's fair.
Yeah,
So
I hear what you're saying though.
But like, I think bringing up what was so special about Boston and their players with Peyton Pritchard, be the best Peyton Pritchard you can be. That is what they have done on this Detroit team as well. Is like, you have this role, you have this assignment, be that, do this for us tonight. And like, if it's not working for one guy, we're going to try something else. Like, give us whatever Wu can give us whatever Kevin Huerter at this point can give us. And let's see give us Paul Reed minutes and let's see how you explode on the scene. It's a pretty impressive thing for this team to be doing. Since you wax so poetically about Cade and the 65 game rule, we'll get into Jalen Duren next, but on the 65 game rule, how do you feel about it? As far as a whole, do you feel like it's appropriate for the MVP race, but maybe not the other awards, or they should just junk it in general? And you got to trust the voters because there's so many voters in general.
Yeah, in general, I don't scream and yell about load management the way a lot of people do. And I very much don't do any of back in my day, I grew up on the NBA of the 80s and the 90s, right? So like I grew up on Kevin McHale, clothesline, and Kurt Rambis. And it was just a 2-shot foul and move on, right? Like that's there. And I am 100% in with. I get why they did it. Like I understand, and I know I've had friends and family who have all over the country that have tried to go to a game to see a specific player, and they're always like, "Do you think he'll play?" And I'm like, "Well, is it a back-to-back? Is it a 4th game, in 5 nights, or 3 games and 4 nights? What's the travel situation before?" And and I'm like, "Yeah, I get it. An average fan should not have to sit down and do this much research to be like, I want to see Wembanyama play." And that's no shot at Wemby because he generally does play. I think there needs to be some tweaking to the rule. And Cade's situation is a perfect one because legitimate injury. No one is questioning that it's not a legitimate thing. And he was like right there. He was like a couple more games away from being fine. And what I don't want to see is what happened with Tyrese Halliburton last year, where he said, I came back early to play because I wanted to hit the triggers because of the money. So I think maybe it's time to remove those as triggers for the designated player contracts and the so-called super max deals. Maybe that's the way we clean this up a little bit. I also will say too, when people yell about load management, is most fans tell me what they want most: see their team win a title. And if the team thinks the best way to win a title is, hey, is for our star guy to only play 60 games, not play, some of the back-to-backs. He's feeling a little something. We hold him out. I'm not going to argue with that too much. I think the end goal is to win a championship. Sure. I do feel for the fans. That part of it sucks. Like that part I could completely get, and I realize we got to have some kind of solve for that. But I don't get too worked up. But yeah, I would like to see them tweak it a little, just so that, hey, got to 60 games and suffered a, not season ending, but regular season ending injury, like it looks like with Cade, that he's still going to be eligible to be picked. And if you can't do that, then maybe it is time to just say, hey, we tried, we did this, we're going to scrap it and just go back to, if you're actively load managing, guys, we're going to fine you. We're going to fine you heavily, lay out a series of fines. And if it's someone like Steve Ballmer, who's like, cool, keep finding me, I don't care. Like, I'll find that in my couch cushions. What you do is then maybe what you say is, you know what? All right, now what we're going to do, we're going to start taking draft picks away. Because then that will become, well, wait a minute. Now you're hampering my ability to build a team. So maybe that's where we got to get to. But I'd rather, let's tweak it first. There's some ways we could probably change this up and go. We use the fitness to play panel for all kinds of things. If they would come in and say, yeah, Cade Cunningham, in our belief, independently looking at it, would have reached your game threshold mark without this injury, then he's eligible. Maybe that's how we do this. So it's worth keeping, but we got to tweak and adjust.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think those draft picks hit a lot harder than fines, especially for insanely rich billionaires like Ballmer. So you were talking about Duran. We got a question from OG unnamed YouTube user. There's a lot of talk.
He watches our show too.
Yeah, he's everywhere. He is
chat legend.
Shout out. So he brought up how there's a lot of national media talk about all NBA team for Duran this season. How bad would that potentially hurt the Pistons cap? And would you expect him to be perennial all NBA moving forward?
Yeah, two good questions. I'll start with the first part. I do think there's a good chance he's going to make all NBA. Because I think what's going to happen, one, I think he's probably right there anyway, even without the Cade Cunningham stuff. But you're going to have voters that are going to be like, the Pistons kind of rolled through the East. We can't not have a representative. And Duran is not like it's a charity thing. He's very deserving. So I think he's going to make it. So that means we go into restricted free agency this summer. If I'm Jalen Duran's agent, I'm starting with want a 30% of the cap max because he's qualified now. He made it. That's what I want. Give it to me. And I think the Pistons are going to say, hold on. Like, we couldn't even get to an extension last summer in agreement. Maybe we should look at something a little bit lower than that, because the thing that how do I want to say this? Waylays teams that are really good, maybe even quicker than we thought, is once you start having to pay everybody, then all of a sudden, oh man, we're now pushing up against the aprons. And this is not really where we want to be, can be, should be. All right, we're going to let player X go because we can't really pay everybody. And now player X is replaced by player Y, and player Y is not as good. And that costs us. And then that talent bleed eventually is, and we never quite got there. What happened? So I think you want to be careful. You don't want to just, all right, Cunningham's got his max, Duran, you get your max, and Thompson, when you're up, we're going to give you a near max, and just keep throwing around. You got to be more cautious. That said, it's going to be really hard to be too cautious. A max deal is roughly 41 million, I think. Next season is what it projects to. I would start with saying, hey, can you do 38? Like, can you take a little bit off? And I would point to, hey, Jalen Brunson did it. Mikal Bridges did it. Now, if I'm Jalen Duran, I'd be like, yeah, that's cool. Those guys have already gotten paid once. Like, that's on a second type deal that they did that. But, they're going to get to where they need to be. But it's definitely a start with, the 30% max. And now, what was your second part of the question? Because now I forgot.
Do you view him as a potential perennial All-NBA
Yes.
candidate?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, I think he's one of the better centers in the league, one of the better young centers in the league. I know All-NBA is positionless, but you still talk to a lot of the voters in the media, and they'll still say, I still do kind of start with 3 centers, 10 forwards, 10 guards, and then I'll mix and match if I need to. More like hey, Embiid and Jokic are both awesome. We're going to put them on first team in that year. That's how that would have played out. So I think, I think Duren's going to definitely be in there where I think you're going to see him be in that mix, because it's kind of him and Wemby are the 2 best young centers in the game. Guys that haven't been around for a minute. So I think certainly we're going to see him, if he's not All-NBA every year, it'll be like All-NBA adjacent, right? Because maybe he has a year where he, misses 20 games. Maybe that would knock him out, but you know what I mean? Maybe he misses 15 games and doesn't play as well or something like that. But yeah, Jalen Duren's really, really good.
In the comments, OG says the closest recent comparison in terms of talent level to me is Ayton in his RFA year. Obviously, Ayton had some mentality issues, and I think that's true. And I think it's like fair to a degree. I just think like with Jalen Duren, we're talking about like the top centers in the league. You brought up Wemby as one, and like Jokic obviously is one as well, but Wemby on the younger end. When it comes to like physically imposing down low centers, I think Duren kind of has a case to maybe be the strongest in that department. Like Wemby's all around game is incredible and his defense is incredible, but it's not like he's a banger down low.
He's a different thing. Right. Like he's
a monster. And Jokic is his own sort of animal as well, like the cerebral, almost point center player. And then going down there, there's like, you could argue about Chet, but Chet is frail compared to what Duren is. Just watching Duren, even post All-Star break, I believe his numbers post All-Star are 24 points a game, 11 rebounds a game, 1.5 turnovers, shooting 67% from the floor, shooting well above 70 from the free throw line. The kid is on this like, and he's 21. Is that right? 21 or 22 years old?
22, I think. Yeah.
22 now. Yeah, I think.
Just on this insane trajectory. When people are talking about the Pistons and they're not really like contenders because they haven't won a series, the only team that had really made it to the finals without winning a series was the Penny and Shaq Magic back in, was 99, 95 maybe?
95.
Yeah. And there people say like, well, Caden, Duren aren't Penny and Shaq. Are they really that far off? I mean, we're talking about like 2 All-NBA guys and 1 MVP candidate. It's not that unheard of at this point. So it's just exciting to see where the Pistons are at. And when it comes to paying Duren that money, maybe that just means that your strategy is no longer, we have to go trade for a big name. We have to hold on to our draft picks to be able to afford the big names that we already have. So
yeah, and it's a viable strategy, right? Because you can still clearly get away with 2 max guys. A lot of the best teams in the league have 2 guys on maxes, right? So I'm there. I will say with Duren, what he reminds me of right now is a more skilled Dwight Howard, because he makes better passes. He's a better ball handler. He's even got that little 10, 15 footer that he can make on occasion. Dwight never had that. Now Dwight was a monster on the defensive end where Duren is growing into that role. Dwight was day one was just an incredible defensive player, but was it Draymond Green the other day that called him the strongest player in the league?
Yeah, he said he was leaning that way, and now he just officially is the strongest.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's, you could see it, and I think what he's finally learned how to do is use that strength appropriately, right? It's like all I need to do is give the guy a little shoulder, because my little shoulder goes a long way, versus I don't need to plow this guy into the basket stanchion and pick up an offensive foul. Because, I mean, he made a lot of goofy plays, and that's, big guys take a while. It takes big guys a while to figure it out. It's centers and point guards, right? You can't never give up on them too early, because if you do, you're probably going to look dumb. You got to give those guys a little while to figure it out. But yeah, he's really fun. I would hope his career goes more like Shaq's, and Cade Cunningham's career goes very differently than Penny Hardaway's.
Yeah, we've already had the one Penny Hardaway career with Grant Hill in Detroit history, so
True.
We'll avoid that at all costs.
Yeah, the Magic also got a taste of it too.
Oh yeah, some of that Grant Hill lifestyle, and so just wild that those players align like that. And the other comparison I heard was, I believe I heard this on the pinned down the other Pistons podcast through Detroit Bad Boys. It's almost like Amari Stoudemire's skill and Dwight Howard's body a little bit. And I was like, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Yeah.
So coming into like the pit, just because we can transition talking about money, we already have catered to max. It's looking like Dern's going to get a max and earning every point of it. He's got 7 30-point games this season. He's only had one prior to that. He only had 4 20-point games last season. He's got 7 30-point games this season. And speaking of point guards and centers, they're the only players who can score 30 points for the Pistons apparently anyway. No matter where you're at in the depth chart, you're getting that. But for the Pistons expanded cap sheet, you wrote an article for Spotrac. If you're not using Spotrac, you got to get in there.
You're whack if you're not using Spotrac.
Send them that 90s slang, man. Rip them.
I got it correct, though. It's Spotrac.
Oh, it's Spotrac. My bad,
yeah.
man.
Yeah. You know
We're
what happens?
Yeah.
It happens with NBA. People call it Spotrac because I think of Eric Spoelstra. I think they're just Spo is Spo. But yeah, it's the spot to track contract. So spot track.
I thought it was for sports. Like
I did
too.
I did too.
It's a long story, but there's a company called Spotrac out there, and that was where they were gonna go, and then it just it's
and then you guys tried to file the name claim on it, the lawsuit, just like
I honestly don't know where it all went.
We're learning here. We're learning to pronounce Spotrac. We're learning to pronounce Danis. It's a process.
It took some people some time to learn how to pronounce Trajan because they weren't Duke fans back in the day. But
I've heard Trajan. I've heard that a couple times.
I like that.
The Swedes infiltrating
Soft J.
That sounds like the Key and Peele sketch.
Yeah.
So with this money that the Pistons are like coming up against in your article for Spotrac, you have the Pistons listed as like a non-mid-level exception team, swing cap space team. With it looks like they could potentially make 27.9 million in cap space available. Can you like maybe explain what those terms mean and like why they're in this situation?
Yeah, and I do want to caveat this was off of the prior cap projection in the last week. They told teams it's probably going to come in $1 million less than where it was. It was at 166. Now it's 165. Not a huge change, but just in case anybody's out there like, hey, this is off by a little bit, like that's likely the reason. So so what I do every year when I'm looking at cap space, I look at it at the beginning of the season for the next season, because rosters are basically locked in. We do an update just ahead of the trade deadline if anything has happened. Then we do a post-trade deadline update, and then I'll do one more before we flip the league years over. So there's always 4 looks at the next year's cap space, and I go through the whole like gamut, right? All right, here's the guaranteed money. Here's what I think they're going to do with options. Here's how I think they'll handle non-guarantees. I use a projection system for wins to get to draft picks so I can have the draft pick cap holds factored in. Then it's all the player cap holds and all that. So with Detroit in kind of a fascinating place, they could very easily sit and say, you know what? We like our guys. We like some of our free agents. So guys like Tobias Harris or Kevin Huerter or Paul Reed or Duncan Robinson, not a free agent, but could be. We're going to keep all of them, right? We want to keep all these guys, on the books, and that's what we're going to do. And we're going to re-sign Harris and re-sign maybe Huerter and Javonte Green and other guys because we like our team. And we'll go. And if they do that, they're probably in range of the non-taxpayer MLE, which is about call it 15-ish million, because it'll tweak a little bit. So 15 million, that's what they'd have to spend. That's what they could go into the offseason looking for. For us, it's not like, man, we need 7 guys to fill rotation spots. 15 million's a nice. They might need 1 guy, 2 guys. 15 million's a really good chunk of change to have to spend. Or they could say, you know what, we did the Tobias Harris thing. We did this. And they could create about 28 million in cap space. And if they go that route, then it is, all right, who slipped through the cracks in free agency that we want to jump on? Maybe they do feel like, no, we need like 3 dudes that need to be better. So we're going to take this 28 million. And by the way, they would also have the room exception, which is, let me pull that. Give me 1 second. I believe that's about 8 million this coming year. would be the room exception amount. So, or 9.5, 9.4. So roughly 9 million. So you'd have that to spend as well. So we spend 28 million in cap space. Then we could spend, another 9 million to go get one other guy. And that's how we go forward. I think what Trajan Langdon has done really well is he's given the Pistons all kinds of optionality in this. Now, let's keep in mind too, all of that starts with Jalen Duren on about a $19.5 million cap hold, because that's what you got to do to keep his bird rights, make him a restricted free agent. Clearly, they're not going to mess around with that, right? You're not going to mess around. He's going to get severely is not the right word. That's a bad connotation. He's going to get way more money than 19.5 million. We know this, right? Well, what the Pistons are going to do, they'll do all their other work first. Then they'll sign Jalen Duren, probably with eyes on whatever direction they go. We're going to do this and stay under the first apron. They may dip into the tax. We'll see. They have paid the tax in the past a handful of times. So maybe that's the way they'll go. But all kinds of optionality. They've got a ton of flexibility, which is a great place to be when you're about to wrap up the 1 seed in the conference going into the playoffs.
So speaking of flexibility, there's a player that I have a little basketball crush on, and he is a restricted free agent.
Hold on, let me guess. Well, it's not Duren, I don't think.
RFA.
RFA. Restricted free agent this summer.
Mm-hmm.
Can I give a hint? My hint would be think of the Pistons starting lineup. That's not much of a hint.
And they're not the only team that would want this player. I think it's
gonna guess it's not Benedict Mathurin.
Nope.
After what you said to our Ivy,
Peyton Watson.
It's Peyton Watson.
Yeah, you nailed it, dude.
It's 100% Peyton Watson. So Denver's verging on the second apron. He had a breakout, especially with Aaron Gordon out as long as he was. How able are they to re-sign him, and what risk does Detroit run by making him an offer?
Yeah, so the first part of your question, the Denver really comes down to, can they get off some other money? Which I think a lot of that's going to be determined by what do the playoffs look like for them. If Cam Johnson and Christian Brown are awesome in the playoffs, then you're probably all right. We'll maybe have to let Peyton Watson go, right? And we'll keep those two guys, and that's how we'll play this. If one of those guys struggles, I could easily see the Nuggets saying, all right, we're going to try to move one of them and keep Peyton Watson in the fold with that. So there's no rule against them keeping Peyton Watson. They absolutely could. They would end up deep into the second apron. And the Nuggets have historically operated as a team that doesn't even really want to be in the luxury tax. Like they have done over the years, really I'm talking in the Jokic era here. They have done multiple trades that were designed around just move that guy out to get us under the luxury tax. They're keeping Watson. It's probably going to be pretty hard, but it may be time to say, all right, we've had all these great years. Maybe they don't want to mess around with the aprons, but maybe we keep Watson and we move like Zeke Naji and a couple of the other smaller salaried guys, get them off the books. And that's how we at least keep under the first apron, but it's going to be tough. For the Pistons, here's your challenge when you play with restricted free agents. And the same thing goes for Jalen Duren for the plus side on the Pistons. You have to kind of give them an offer when free agency opens, June 30th, 6 p.m. Eastern, because you want them to know, hey, I'm serious, and you want to have that out there. But here's the problem. The NBA has this thing called the moratorium. So what happens is the Pistons could say, hey, Peyton Watson, we want to give you, let's just say $30 million, right? Because let's just say that's where they get to. We're going to give you $30 million in first year salary, and that's what we're going to do. And then the Nuggets are going to say, okay, great. Like, we still can match that if we want to. So what the Pistons would have to do is say $30 million. Now they've agreed. Now, basically everything else is on hold, right? Because you can't go do other stuff, and guys aren't going to sit around and wait. You might get a guy might make $4 million. It's like, yeah, I can wait. Like, I'll come back around. But any other big move you're going to make has to wait. You can't actually sign that offer sheet and then deliver the terms to the Nuggets until the moratorium lifts, which will be in the middle of the first week of July, around July 5th or 6th. So what happens is Now you've sat on your cap space. Everybody else is agreeing to deals, and agreeing to deals, and you're just kind of stuck. Now, if it goes the way it did last year with the restricted free agents, maybe you can afford to say, hey, let's hold, let's wait, let's let this play out. There's nobody else where really got to go get for sure. Maybe we'll do that. I think what would be far more likely. We've seen this happen with restricted free agents over the years. Detroit wants Peyton Watson. They're going to go to the Nuggets and say, how do we make this a sign and trade where you're going to get something too? We're going to get them. And we don't have to play all these games of tying up cap space and all that other stuff. That's, I think, how it would be more likely to go down. I will say, I think, again, the Pistons, like I talked about with the Nuggets, they're going to be in the same boat. How do the playoffs go, right? Because if playoffs go well, let's say they make, at a minimum, let's say they're in a competitive Eastern Conference Finals. Maybe they don't make the finals, but it's competitive. You're going to feel a lot better about, all right, let's kind of run it back, right? We'll move a couple guys in and out, but let's bring most of our guys back. Let's say disaster strikes and they're bounced in the first round or non-competitive second round series. Probably a lot more likely to say, hey, let's start moving some guys, right? Let's start moving on from a handful of these guys and really retooling this roster around Cunningham, Duran, Thompson, Holland, etc.
The Pistons are like a good place to do that as well, because Trajan Langdon has a history of, one, getting players that are available, two, not signing players to big deals, three, signing them to short deals. So like everybody's on the Pistons right now, their offer is up either this season, at the end of the season, or next season, other than Cade and their rookie class going forward from that. So like getting a player like Peyton Watson, that'd be one of the bigger reaches of his reign, I suppose. But it could also be incredibly beneficial to them. A guy who defends, and a guy who can shoot threes, and a guy who can handle the ball, who plays a position of need, with Tobias Harris entering, let's call it, the twilight of his career, even though the dude plays like a stud and we love him out here. He's been huge for us. I got to give a shout out to OG, because he pitched this idea at the beginning. He wants to know, this would be his path. And so I guess let's take your thoughts on it. Would be salary dump LeVert and Sasser. I think LeVert's making like 13 next year or something like that.
14, I think.
14.
Yeah, it's in range.
And then Sasser's pretty low. Only keep Duran on hold, then carry over 9 rotation players, 2 end of bench, 1 2-way, and new rookies. You have roughly 38.5 million in space minutes. You sign Duran and try to get Tobias on the room exception, which you alluded to was what, like 8-ish million?
Yeah, it'll be right around 9, I think.
Okay, well, 9 million, and fill out your roster and stay under the first apron. Does that sound like viable to you as like a Pistons solution? It would just really just require Tobias being like, yeah, I can take this dollar amount, which that there's so many players that like kind of fit into this range of, how much are you actually worth? We don't want to pay guys of your value in the 20s, even like the high teens. Even like Kevin Huerter, he's paid like 18 million, I think. This year's what his contract ending up. He's probably not going to make that next year, is my guess. But who's to say? How will it all go? And then you have another team like Oklahoma City, right, where they're about to get crazy expensive too, I imagine, because they have 3 max guys coming through. And they have all these picks, but they have all these roster spots open. So are they a team that you want to go after, as far as like, hey, maybe we can offload somebody on your team like Jay Will, not Jay Lynn, not Jay Dub, but Jay Will, who's a like power forward,
big J Dub,
big J Dub. Is he another Razorback?
He is, yes.
Yeah, that I thought he was the other one I thought about. I remember seeing him in the tournament. Like, I like this guy's game, and now he's like stroking it from 3. That's a player that can really fit the Pistons game as well, on a cheaper deal, because he's making 8 or 9 million next year, and they need to get off some money, no matter how it is. So I think a lot of people think they're going to like trade their picks, but really they kind of need those picks, because those are cheap, controllable contracts. Do you see OKC potentially going a different route than trying to do something like that?
No, I mean, when they went out and got Isaiah Hartenstein a couple of years ago and paid him a ton of money, part of what they were paying him for is, hey, 2 years from now, when we have Holmgren and Williams on maxes, SGA is actually the 3rd highest paid Thunder player next year.
Crazy.
Just for the year until his new contract kicks in. But just the way it works out, it's all timing. But what I think they're going to do is, they paid Hartenstein 30 million and then like 28 million over the first year and then into the second year. And I think what their whole idea was, hey, then when we opt you out of your team option and we give you 15, remember when we overpaid you by about 10 million and 8 million? Now, okay, you already got it's almost like an upfront contract, and there's a lot of wink and a nod and trust that goes into that. And who knows? I mean, it's the whole what was Pat Riley's thing, the disease of more, right? Like if maybe they win another title and guys start to be like, hey, actually, it's cool, but I'd like to play. I'd like to start. Like you mentioned with Jay Will. I think guys like Aaron Wiggins isn't even playing right now. Aaron Wiggins would probably be in 25 other teams' rotations, at least might be the other 29 teams. He's a good player. And you said they've got more draft picks coming in. They have Nikola Topic, first rounder. Super awesome that he made it back from the injury and then from cancer. Absolutely incredible. And then you've got Thomas Sorber, who they drafted in the first round this past draft, then immediately got injured and isn't going to play this whole year. And you have 2 more picks at least coming in.
In Jared McCain now.
Jared McCain,
Jared McCain's, you got him in the fold. So you're sitting there looking at like, all right, something we'll have to give eventually, right? So that's team I've told people, like, if you need rotation player on a pretty good contract, I'd be calling the Thunder and just say, hey, let's, what do you need? And if I'm the Thunder, I do have to, at some point, it's like, I don't need a ton more picks. If you're going to offer me a real pick, great, let's go. So you're absolutely right. It's a great place to be in for the Pistons. I will say this too. You said you talk a lot about, it's a matter of what a player is worth. There's also the matter of what can the player get, right? Because sometimes some guys they're not worth 25 or 30 million, but they can get 25 or 30 million because that's available to them in the market. And that's where like this summer, there's a handful of teams that are going to have quite a bit of cap space. Probably the Lakers, the Bulls, the Nets. We'll see with the Pistons. We'll see with the Hawks. The Hawks and Pistons are pretty much in the same boat as far as potential cap space. So if the Hawks and Pistons go over or stay over the cap rather and operate like that, now that's the Lakers. Well, they're clearly looking for, you got to come in, be a win now guy. Let's go. Then you've got the Bulls. They're kind of rebuilding. The Nets are still rebuilding, but the Nets have made noise of, we're going to try to get better because they don't control their pick and all that stuff. So that turns into, all right, now somebody has to get that money, right? Someone will. So that turns into a guy like Tobias Harris, where if you went in saying, all right, you know what, we're going to do all this and we're going to bring him back for $9 million, Tobias Harris would be like, that's cute, but the Pistons, the Nets just offered me another $20 million. So that's where we're going to go. So that becomes, it's all easier said than done, I guess is the best way to put that.
For sure. And I think if he got offered 20 million, then it would be Tobias Harris at that point. It's like, get your money, like do your thing. And to your point about like how much money you can, there's how much you're worth, how much you can get. You're worth however much you can get, however much anyone values that is what you are worth in this. I don't like the idea of like what a player deserves as far as money goes, because I don't even trust like the most insane analysts to properly judge what sort of success rate a player really does bring to your team in a winning rate. Like when you look at like awards, like how people view MVPs, it's so heavily based on offense, right? Like who's the best offender, who's going in there. People constantly complain about Luka's like effort on defense and it's just like shot selection, but the stats are crazy. So he's constantly in this MVP conversation. Sometimes it contributes to winning, sometimes it doesn't. So like when you look at Asar Thompson, people are like, oh, we're not going to pay him that much because he doesn't have any offense. Look how this team performs when Asar's not on the court. It's a completely different thing. It's so hard to judge what a player is worth. So, maybe the money varies. Maybe who knows what you're going to get paid, but you should have a pretty decent idea. And if you as a GM in Trajan Langdon shoes are good at analyzing that and making the most out of your money, I mean, hell, he might have done a good job with Kevin Huerter when you really look at it for what that dude's bringing to this team right now. You got to be pretty happy with where this team's at. And I want to ask you guys right before I say that we should like and subscribe to the show. You're already here. Why not get in on it? Yeah. It's so easy. We have a silly time. Tell more than friend. Tell a family member.
Yeah.
Go to the No Kings rally and be like, yo, I heard this sick Pistons show. Y'all got to check it out. They don't believe in Kings except for the salary cap king, that being Keith Smith's on the show. But maybe you're more the cap whisperer than a king. We put it in there. We don't want no royalty associated in this podcast. But what I want to know between these two guys. Oh, and real quick, OG says, I disagree. I didn't think Ayton was worth a max at the time, and he never lived up to that contract. He wasn't worth the max just because he got it. Well, the Suns sure thought he was worth that, right?
Well, remember they matched an offer sheet from the Pacers. So so the Suns were like, yeah, we got to keep him. So, and that's, again, that's if you want to get a restricted free agent, you have to be willing to overpay them, because otherwise anything that's fair, their team's probably going to be like, no, we'll just keep them. Like, why would we let them go unless you were really stuck with that? I want to, you said one thing that I do want to respond to real quick, because I think it was really good. This is my world, right? I live in these contract numbers and cap and all that stuff. It's still like, people think I'm a soulless transaction robot. And there are times when I do turn that part of me on, because I have to do what I do. Sometimes it can't be as much, about like, how does it feel and those kind of things. But I root for the players to get as much money as they can. Whenever I mention a bad contract, it's in terms of the team. If no player gets a bad contract, unless it would be, Cade Cunningham signs for the minimum, then be like, what were you doing? Like, that's a bad contract for you. So I never, hold those against the player or the agent. Go get what you can get. You can only play basketball for so long. I mean, it's getting to be longer if you're good, but you're not going to be out there for 30 years. I used to say 20. Now we might have to start reframing that for the best guys a little.
Wow.
But you're not going to be out there for 30 years playing professional basketball. So if you can go get money, and otherwise, boy, it goes to billionaire owners who already are rich. Like, good for them. Great. Like, cool. But, that's, I'm never going to complain when a player gets paid like that. I may analyze it as that's an overpay, but I'm still happy for the player at the end of the day. And for me, it's all about the players. Where I switched, it's probably about 5 years ago. I used to always say well-deserved. And I had somebody be like, who deserves $100 million contract? So I've switched that phrasing now in my own mind to well-earned. Like, it's a well-earned contract. Yeah. So
you heard it.
That might be semantics, but
it's an important distinction. Yeah.
But you heard it here first. Keith Smith, pro Uncle Dennis, getting that money for Kawhi in aspiration. Get that
aggregate it.
Go get that money however you can get
it. Pretty wild.
Homer's dime, baby.
Whatever, as long as he loses it. I trust you two to construct a better team than Ballmer, although Kawhi is balling out and somehow they're winning in Los Angeles. That's such a wild story to me as far as like successes go. Like, just looking at the construction of that team, really incredible stuff. Especially post the James Harden era. But you guys are both great basketball minds. Our chat is also a great basketball mind. So shout out to the chat. You guys are always so great. Shout out to Richard DM for it. He thinks that iHeart's going to get moved. Good to see you in here. He very well might. Who knows?
Him or Dort. One of the two of them. I think
someone else. I think OG mentioned Dort or someone. Yeah.
Everyone seems to be thinking Dort. So who knows? And then we'll see how it goes. And then when is the expansion draft potentially going to happen? Is that like a couple years
ahead of the 2028-29 season if they stick to the reported timeline?
Okay, so get your eyes on those contracts for that year coming up and seeing who's going to be available for your team at that point. But when it comes to building a team, there are constraints, and that's why we are moving on to our next segment. And our next segment, this is a game that we've done a ton of mining for. It's a lot like you guys are going to build a team, but there are rules to it. You're going to be working together. You're going to be working against each other. Welcome to the no cap version of APRONGA, which is a lot like Jenga, and that logo took me way too long to make yesterday.
I love it.
But we here, baby. So in front of you, you see this tower. Keith, are you able to read those names? Are they coming out?
I can. Yep, I can read it.
As a heads up to you guys watching at home, Mickey, Keith, it's from top down. It's alphabetical order for last name. So on the Santi Aldama, it's not like he's more valuable than Devin Vassell. You might know what the contracts are. I hope you don't. Maybe you're going to guess. And the OG says, if anyone is a first-time viewer because they followed Keith and subscribe, help these guys get to 200 subs. Thank you, OG. You and OG. You a real one, an RO. I don't know if that's an abbreviation people use for it, but we're kicking it with it. Here are the rules of the game. Very simple. We're going to go one at a time, back and forth. You two are co-GMs, assistant GMs or whatever, for, let's call it the Las Vegas Vipers instead of Seattle Supersonics, unless you want to be the Supersonics. Who knows? And all these players, this is from their contract dollar amount in the 2026-2027 season. That's what it's listed as. Try to get all of those on here as much as possible. You have to build a team of at least 13 players, and you have to get over the tax limit at $201 million. Get as close to the first apron, $209 million, as possible with 15 players. If you guys go over the first apron before you get to 13 players, you both lose. If you get to 13, then we're going back and forth, and whoever is the one who picks after, who bursts the bubble before 15, you are the loser, and your co-GM, they're now in charge of the team. Good for them. You're a star, and the other guys lost along the wayside. If we get to 15 players and we're in between that sweet spot of 209 and 201, you both win. And we've got 3 boards. That's how the points work. Pretty simple other than that. I'm not going to tell you guys what the values are. I'm not going to tell you how close you're getting. This is up to you to say, hey, I'm feeling like we're pretty close. And these players vary as far as like contracts go. We got Anthony Davis on here. We've got Nasir Little, who I didn't even realize was still playing on a team.
I think that's dead money.
Okay,
for him.
Well, pick up that dead money. I didn't have Terry Rozier on any of here, so there's no. I'm not going to get called about any gambling allegations or anything like that. There were I saw Ricky Rubio still had dead $450,000. I was like, should I put this dude on here? Wild. Shout out to him. Hope his brain is doing all right. Okay, the rules seem pretty clear.
Yeah, we're not.
Yeah, I've got a pen and a piece of paper because it's the only way I can't do math that quick in my head.
Well, I'm just going by feel, but we're trying not to bust. We're trying not to knock over the tower.
No whammy, no APRONGA, as it is. I get it, APRONGA. So who wants to go first? Who wants to make the first pick? And you can make a good team. There are good players on this list. There are players I like. There are players that don't like strip clubs on this team. If you want a very clean, classy, magical, free lifestyle, that's available to you on this very list.
We have to pick from this group first.
This group. This is all we're picking from. This is the tower, and it could topple, but we shall see.
All right.
Why don't you go first, Keith?
Okay. Let's start off with a nice, mid-range contract.
Okay.
Without getting too heavy early, and let's go with RJ Barrett.
Okay, RJ, first piece off. Let me go ahead and move that money over. Make sure this thing works the way I wanted it to. I made spreadsheets too. I'm not much of an administrative guy, but it works. I was able to get it to work. All right, Mickey, who would you pair?
Well, every team needs a star. Okay, so I'm gonna up the ante a little bit, and I'm gonna throw in B-ball. Just that's what I saw. He's a star to me. He's a no. I'm gonna go Donovan Mitchell.
Okay. Donovan Mitchell.
Let's get a little hefty.
This is just for the chat on the low. If the Cleveland Cavaliers bust next year in this playoffs, kind of early on, I don't think they will. I would love to talk a little Donovan Mitchell, but I think with the rise of Durant, it's out there. I just think him and Cade would be such a great pairing next to each other, 1 and 2.
All right. All right. I want to get a low dollar guy in here. Go with Ryan Rollins.
Okay, Ryan Rollins. He's a Michigan native. Is that right?
Oh, he went to
I think you're right. Yeah, little defensive-minded point guard. I like it. All right. Let's keep the defense going. Let's get a little Herb Jones.
Herb Jones. I love me some Herb Jones.
Mm-hmm.
He looked good in that Pistons Pelicans game. He drained a 3 in someone's friggin' face. And I was like, this was who? Herb?
All right. It's 201, right?
201 is the minimum that you want to get to. You want to get as close to 209 as possible, but 201 is you're safe in that regard. I can't believe you have all these contracts memorized. This is wild to me.
98. I'll go with Luke Cornett.
Luke Cornett. We hinted at it earlier. If you're unaware of the whole Luke Cornett situation, who I did want the Pistons to get in the offseason before the B-ball Paul emergence. Happy we didn't get him now because I thought that was a little bit crazy with this post. But
He's a pure soul.
Yeah,
sure.
Keith, were you muttered 98? Was that what you thought we were at before?
Yeah, I think so.
I had scratched in 103, so I'm pretty proud of my layman's math. Okay. Let's keep it low. Let's get a little backup point guard. We love a Jones bro. Let's get Trey Jones in there.
Low-key one of Mickey's favorite players on the season, who has been
my favorite. He's good. He's really good. I like him.
He's a lot of fun. We got to get rid of Keith's video and just put the beautiful mind meme over him. It's like all the numbers coming through.
Okay. Can do one more big contract. I think, right? 6 guys so far.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, you guys are almost.
You got to get at least 13, right?
You got to get at least 13 if you want like a threadbare team.
Okay.
Short rotation.
Let's go with my guy Moussa Diabate.
Your guy, get off this podcast.
Yeah, no.
I know y'all don't like him very much, but
I actually enjoy him as a player. I think he's pretty fun.
Michigan guy?
Musa?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Here's a guy we wanted on this team, Harry and I don't think he's really beloved where he's at right now. Let's get Laravian Knights.
Oh,
Laravian. We were really keen on getting him.
I still think it'd be a nice little fit. I really like Jake as a player. I know it's not like going all that great, and I know there's the footage of him getting burned by Cade Cunningham too. There's like a nice little clip of that from their first matchup. But that could be said by for a lot of Lakers.
That's true.
At this point.
All right, we've got 8 guys.
You guys got 8 guys.
We need some bigger contracts going down.
Yeah, I think we're at about 125 million.
I had 126.
Yeah.
Man, you guys are in sync.
So I will say we want to get at between 201 and 209.
Yeah.
All right, so that's 87 million more. Am I right on that too? No, 77 million for
yep
for 5 spots.
Yeah.
So that's what's that, like 15 million a spot? Go with Devin Vassell.
Yeah, Pistons killer.
I don't even want to talk about him, man. Devin Vassell, that game where was he like 7 of 11 for 3 against us that game?
Like that.
Something insane. Him and
Champagny. Yep.
God.
Yep. All right. Do I just go crazy here? Do I try to be reasonable? Let's do it. Let's get a little uncomfortable. Let's add fellow Montverde alum. Let's get Scotty
Barnes.
Dang, good call.
Scotty Barnes. He's gonna be between 41 and 42.
Are we at like 185 right now?
I have us at 193.
Uh-oh. Here's where it gets a little scary.
And that's 10, right?
Yeah. I just messed up.
Let's go with Vít Krejci.
How's he doing since he got moved? Does anybody know off the top of their head?
It's okay. Yeah, he's playing okay.
Okay. I know some Pistons fans wanted him, especially after he hit that crazy 3 from friggin' DeQuinder in Detroit.
Okay.
If you're unfamiliar, Dequindre is one of the many French street names that no one pronounces correctly in the city of Detroit.
All right. Speaking of Detroit, I gotta get my guy for real now. Best third big in the league, B-ball Paul, baby.
Oh yeah.
Did I bust, or are we doing okay?
I think we're doing okay.
All right.
So we're at 12 guys,
be...
13 guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, one more. Let's see if we can push it. At least one more. If we can get, if you make a better team, all the better.
This team's not bad.
No, like I figured, like with these
we
names,
need at least one more guy.
At least
we
one
gotta
more.
Stay under
209.
Was that what it was?
Yep, between 201 and 209.
Oh man, that's gonna be close.
Is Trey
Mann's like 8 million?
Yeah. Oh wow, is he?
Yeah, Derek Jones Jr. is gonna be like 12 or 13, maybe, or maybe 9.
Wow.
Or you put him on there, just so we could say we fell in between. I'm gonna take Nasir Little's dead money because I know that's like I think like 5 million or 6 million for him, maybe less. Yeah, Nasir Little's dead money.
Okay. Let's move him over. So you guys got 13. Didn't go over.
So what happens now? Are you
going to try to go higher?
So now.
So we're working together, right?
Yeah. So.
But whoever.
Kind of.
Let's do this as. I'm going to ask just this one question on here. Do you guys want to go further, or do you want to stop here on this specific round?
I mean,
I think if we add anybody else, we bust and go over the first apron. I've got us at about 204 million.
Mickey, do you agree? Do you trust the cap whisperer?
I'm going to add. I mean, I should, but I think maybe we could squeeze Trey Mann in there.
All right.
It's going to be real close.
It's actually a problem.
Knocked over the tower.
Where's my thing? It is. That did topple the tower, as it were. With who was it? You said Trey Mann that we added. He told you, dude, it was $8 million. You guys were right at 205.
But you beckoned us to keep going. I thought you knew something.
I asked if you wanted.
I don't know why.
Here's why. Here's what I wanted to do. I wanted you guys both to win on this one, so it would have passed. But like, here's a problem I saw just in this first round. You get to a certain part, you got to 13. That was as high as you could go. You couldn't go any higher. But now, in this next round, you guys kind of get how the flow of it works. Yep. Keith, you're crazy for knowing these numbers, like crazy. Every update was like to the dollar, maybe 1 million off. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, so insane.
I look at spreadsheets a lot.
Oh my God. Just truly look at these the Charlie meme too. We'll put one new one each up on you. Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So in this next one, I want you guys to try to get to 15. And again, here's how it works. If you get between 13 and 15 and you're done, then you guys both win. I don't want you to be able to stop once you get to 13. I want the mindset to be, hey, let's get as close to there as we can. We both want to get over there, but we have to keep going until we get to 15. Right? That way someone busts. You both win if you fall under, and only one person wins if the bust happens. Look, the OG says, great work, guys. You guys really did it. You did a wonderful job. Mickey, I kind of baited you in with the Trey Mann.
It's all right. It's all right. I lost to the best, you know, and that's what it's all about. It's a moral victory.
a little bit. I would. What contract in this whole group is like the most egregious to you? By the way, Keith.
Not that there are any bad contracts.
Not that there are any. It's just like, wow, that contract is something else.
It's between Gobert and Anthony Davis. Like, pick which one. I mean, Trey Mann is overpaid at 8 million, but it's 8 million. Under 10 million is not going to kill you. But when you start getting up over 30 million or Davis is on a max contract and doesn't play,
15
Yeah.
million next year. Looking for a 2-year extension.
Yeah.
Let me
think
ask
it's
you
gonna
something, because people always talk about Malik Monk as being a bad contract, and I don't know if I feel that it's that bad. I mean,
Yeah, I
obviously
don't.
the Kings aren't winning, but I don't know. Especially there are times when lately where I'm like, man, I would love a little Malik Monk off the Pistons bench, or maybe even next to Cade sometimes.
Yeah,
But
make the pizza guy the Little Caesars guy. Get him over here.
yes,
Okay.
pizza guy. All right.
So let's move on to there. By the way, Rudy Gobert's contract, he's 36.5 mil next year, and Draymond was 27.678 next year. He's making some bank as well. So, and you were right about Derek Jones. Derek Jones is 10.5 million for next year.
Wow.
All right, on to APRONGA 2. Let's see how this board goes. Boom.
Beautiful.
Great little transition.
Beautiful.
All right, new set of players.
Oh, JaVale McGee.
JaVale McGee, that's right.
It's dead money again.
It's dead money.
That'll get you.
With him, that's live money as far as I'm concerned.
Truth. All right. So you want us to try to get to 15 players this time?
I'd love you to try to get to 15 players. That's because there's no stopping. You can't choose to stop. There's no hold. It's not like Card Sharks or anything like that. We're talk about like old guys and stuff. Card Sharks, the game show. If you're unfamiliar, what a show. In this, you're going to keep going until you get to 15. If you make it to 15, then it stops and it's over. Great job. If you want to play a little bit damaging back and forth, that's fine too. But you got to get over 13 at least, and you keep picking until 15. So you want to be in that range, which makes things a little bit more complicated with who you pick, who you let go, and so on and so forth. Maybe we'll get there a little bit trickier. I don't know. Keith's mind seems to be even better than my spreadsheet. So we'll see how this whole thing plays out. But Mickey, I think Keith picked first last time.
I did.
I'm going to let you lay the foundation right here. Get out the concrete blocks, baby. Who is the base of this squad?
Who do you think? Let's get him. Let's get him. Who would you want to helm your franchise? Let's get the man.
Him or Wemby. That's it. Those are my top two guys to build a franchise around right now.
Yeah.
Real quick, going back to the Cade Cunningham thing, when you were talking about watching him at Mount Verde and at Oklahoma, I remember having debates with my friends. People were like talking about Evan Mobley or Jalen Green. I'm like, 6'6" point guard who scores. Like, this is insane that this first pick fell to us. This never happens. This doesn't exist in the league. And here we are.
6'7" with the hair.
6'7" with the hair.
All right. Well, that got us a quarter of the way there. He's like 50 million.
Yep.
The Piston conundrum.
Realistic. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'll go the other end of the spectrum just to balance out a little bit. I'll go with Sam Merrill. That's about 4 or 5 million.
God, wouldn't mind that.
I'm not going to spoil it at all, but that Sam Merrill deal is fucking awesome. It's awesome for a pretty damn good player. I can't believe he took that contract.
Let's get one of my little player crushes too. Let's go Aaron Nesmith. I am kind of, we've got a guy at the 1, we got the guy at the 2. Let's get a small forward in there.
Keith, I want to ask you about this just while we're on the topic of the Indiana Pacers. And they've got to be front and center when it comes to like this whole tanking situation. Just look at like some of the new proposed rules. One seems specifically aimed at like Indiana with like the 2-year rule. Why are the Pacers this bad when they have so many good players?
Yeah, I think they ran into a lot of other injuries too,
Mm-hmm.
and like legit ones. Neesmith missed a bunch of time. Andrew Nemhard's been banged up almost all season long.
Mm-hmm.
Matherin missed some time early in the year for them. Yeah, Toppin was out for a large chunk of the beginning of the year, and then I think Siakam just wore down because he's having to do everything, and they didn't really have any kind of center of note until they traded for Zubac, who's also now hurt. So I think that's where it all I think the wheels came off, and I think then once it was, all right, this is going to be too hard to dig out of. Now let's just embrace it. And we're just going to be as bad as we can be.
Which is pretty bad.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
Almost won yesterday. They almost got the double.
I know. I'm glad. The Clippers are my team out in LA. I'm a Pistons number 1, but Clippers number 2. So I was glad to see they pulled that one out.
Mickey's here for the Team America colors. World Police.
I've got a type.
I know I was wrong on Merrill because Sam Merrill, now remember his contract. He's like $9 million. So So if they don't want that to throw us off. So I
Damn,
think we're at about
I was hoping to evade.
70
Yeah,
with
I went back and I was like, no, he signed like for like 436. So
70 with Nesmith, or does that put us?
70 with the 3 guys we have.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure we're right
Okay.
about 70 million, maybe a tad over. Let's go with Nikhil Alexander Walker, because I think that's like 14 million.
Yeah.
Or 15 million.
One of the cousins, Nikhil, just having one hell of a year.
Big time.
Good for the kid. Good
Yeah.
for Atlanta. Like, one of the best acquisitions of any team this season in free agency,
without a doubt.
Up there in the improved running, probably behind Duran.
To me, his is more opportunity improvement. Like just getting the minutes, getting the role, being allowed to play it. With Duran, he's playing like the same minutes, but like the leap is just insane. Granted, great improvement from Nikhil, great improvement from Keontae George, Duran. Is there anybody else I'm missing like on the most improved conversation?
Keontae,
Yeah,
did you say Keontae?
Yeah, and I think like a guy like kind of more traditional sense of the award, like a guy like Keita, who was a backup in his own valid starting center.
I think there's been a lot of slander on the Boston Celtics center situation. People are like, if they had a real center, they'd be even better. I'm like, this dude is a real center. He's friggin' solid. He's really good, active hands, knows how to play the ball. Amazing.
Yep.
All right. God, I was just looking at one of these names, and I want to save it for later, but I think AJ Mitchell is just one of the best contracts in the league. I mean, are there any other that jump? Oh, I'll go another one of my player crushes. I'll go J-Mac. Let's get Jaden McDaniels. But Keith, are there any other players that are just like on ludicrous contracts in terms of value
on this board?
No, just in general.
Oh,
like,
in general,
out at you that you're like, what? Like they have him at a steal kind of guys.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely AJ Mitchell, one of them. I think Jenkins' contract for the Pistons is great.
Hell yeah.
Love hearing that. Yeah.
Now, even with the newer contract,
Mhm.
there. Try to thinking off the top of my head here. Those guys are way up there.
What do you think of the?
Think about anything except for the current value of the board. I don't want your mind to be free.
Yeah, I'm trying to. These are my mind games. But what do you think of the Trey Murphy contract?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
I think it's really solid for the team side because he does so much.
Yeah,
you could play on ball, off ball. He can cut. He can shoot. He can do a lot of things. Defense is okay. It's not great, but it's okay. And I think we'll be better when he plays in a more like defensive minded system, I guess is the way I want to phrase that.
Speaking of which, I'm pretty jealous of that Derek White contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
All right, enough distractions. You're up.
Also, heads up, Jaden McDaniels will not be playing in the Pistons Minnesota Timberwolves game later today, nor will Ant. But it looks like Jalen Duren will.
That's good. We're gonna need some size.
Herb Jones does have a good contract. It's going up a little bit, and he's a little bit older than TM3, but another good contract.
I feel like J-Mac has a pretty good contract too. I thought he was making like 28 or something.
Almost. Yeah, he's a little under that. I think he's like 26.
You gotta stop. This is so insane.
I'm pretty close, by the way, for a non expert.
Let's all right. Man, we're only 5 guys in. So we got to fit 10 more, and I think we have 90 million.
I always out Richard DM for it.
I thought we were higher than that personally. I thought we were like,
and I think we're at about
110. But okay.
I think, and we got to come in under 204. Under
209. You got to come under 209.
209. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. 209.
You're good. I'm just trying to.
I had that written down too. I can't always read my own handwriting.
Dr. Keith out here.
Yeah, do AJ Mitchell.
Okay.
Get him.
Get a little one off there.
I'll say
that's under 3.
I'll say it for the 100th time in this podcast. I really wanted the Pistons to pick him instead of Bobby. It did not go that way. Unfortunately for the Pistons, he could have worked out. But if we had picked him, we never would have had Danis. I don't think we would have known about the Danis Jenkins situation. And Danis is pure Detroit.
Certainly is. Speaking of pure Detroit, let's go Pistons legend Svi Mykhailiuk.
Oh yeah, get Svi's money on over there. Get him out of Utah.
That's like $3 million, I think.
And $1 million candy
bars.
bars.
Get these little ones, yeah.
The Mormon way.
Boy.
It's gonna start to get.
It's getting a little dicey.
Yeah, it already
There's
is.
some bigger names.
Yeah, we're gonna have to take one of these big ones just to make the rest of them work.
Yeah, get Kate a real teammate for a change.
Do Desmond Bain.
I mean, talk about a Cade teammate that would fit.
Yeah. What is he, 38?
He's almost so he wasn't on an actual max, but he had language that could have brought him to a max. I think he's probably just shy of 40, probably about 39 and a half.
You guys have made this game so less fun.
I'm pleased with myself.
You're impressing the hell out of me here, Mickey. I can't believe you on this.
I spend some time on Spotrac myself.
Spotrac, there you go.
All right.
Took it to the steam room.
We're gonna get 7 more guys in.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Better get Drew Smith in the mix. We're gonna need.
On the low, I love Drew Smith as a player.
I have no idea how much he makes,
so
by the way. I want to say 5.
I don't think it's even that high.
What are you like? Are we like 172? 170? Oh boy.
How many players we got?
Some of these I've looked at in terms of just players I wish we could get. I've definitely peeped that Dante contract.
Oh yeah, we're gonna see some Dante. Is this the first Dante versus Detroit matchup since the brawl, the Ron Holland chokeout?
I don't know.
Let's go with Chris Dunn next.
I love Chris Dunn.
I see we're standing by the no shooters around Cade rule with this Chris Dunn pick.
Well, let's get Dante in there.
I'm just kidding.
Just teasing you. Let's get Dante in there.
Okay, get Dante DiVincenzo, who I do love. I have loved since Villanova. Fun dude.
Okay.
All right. How many players do we have?
We're starting
to get there. 10? Is that right?
3, 4, 5,
I don't know.
6, 7, 8, 9,
11.
10, 11. Yeah, you got 11. So it's going to be 4 more picks. You guys.
Someone's going to. Oh, boy.
Oh, man. We are like right at it now, too, I think. That should be.
All right. This is more what I wanted, because if you're picking low money early, then when you get to this final like 3, then it gets complicated, right?
All right. How many? We need 4 more guys.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna bust.
OG doesn't think you guys are gonna get 15.
All right, give me Haywood Highsmith.
Okay. Like me some Haywood Highsmith.
More like Haywood Lowsmith. Jeez. All right. I gotta go with what I think is the smallest one. Well, I mean, JaVale McGee feels like cheating. That's dead money, right? Or is that okay? I'm gonna go with J-Dub.
J Will?
Yeah.
Okay. J Will moving over. All right. I think we're at 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 13 is right.
Okay, so 2 more.
Oh yeah.
I mean, in theory.
I think there's only 2 guys we can take and not bust. Give me Max Strus.
Harry's Piston crush. Max Strus. And not just because the hair is glorious.
He's got great hair.
But the guy can drain. My God, he went psycho yesterday. I think he had 8 threes.
Another DePaul alum as well. All right. I guess we got to just go JaVale.
You do got to go JaVale. And guys, you accomplished it. You built the team. You stayed under the first apron. Unreal stuff. 207.5 is where you landed at. You left out all the big names. I'm so flustered. I just wanted this shit to topple so bad.
I gave you your wish in the first round. You baited me into it, but
I think it's incredible. I did have a third board, but we've already been here for an hour and a half, and I actually think to win on teamwork is what this world needs more than to compete against each other. Sometimes teamwork is what we're here for. In fact, I always think it's over there. And OG, guess what? They got there. Really, really impressive stuff.
Against all odds.
Against all odds, against all cost-cutting techniques. I took I'm still like just blown away. Oops, I didn't mean to pull that thing up. I'm blown away by the ability to pull these numbers out on both your guys' ends. So I applaud you on that. Keith, thank you so much for joining us, man. We really appreciate you breaking down like what the Pistons can expect to do next year, a realistic path to maybe going after Peyton Watson, some options there, realistic path for some other teams to potentially go through, and how this team could potentially survive, and some positive notes about life with an all NBA near max Jalen Duren contract in the fold. So thank you for making us feel better, dude. Do you have anything you want to shout out or give some run to? Maybe your front office show, maybe to Spotrac.
Yeah, NBA front office show. That's our show. Trevor Lane and I. It's weird. We do more consistent shows when we're leading up to trade deadline and free agency because our show is heavily transaction focused there. But we're still recording 3 times a week, generally every Friday. We call it Front Office Friday, and that's our live show, Peek Behind the Curtain. A couple of years ago, we had a Friday and we didn't have anything to talk about. So like, let's do an impromptu mailbag and we do questions out of the chat. And people loved it so much that now we call it Front Office Friday, and we do it every Friday. With live show, it's the fan show. We let them ask all the questions they want. We have a blast with that. And then, Spotrac, we're gearing up. I just put a piece up yesterday that was all about the remaining players who can sign veteran extensions before this league year changes over. There's still 44 guys. It ranges from maybe to not going to happen at all there, but I laid out projections for each guy and what they could do. And then off-season previews start this week. So we go in reverse order. So be very glad you're not going to see the Pistons for hopefully a very long time in this. We go reverse order of elimination. Or we go in order of elimination, I should say. Mm-hmm. So Sacramento, Indiana, Washington, those will be our first few out of the gate. But yeah, we're going to get those started because those teams have been officially eliminated, and it's time to start looking towards the offseason in those markets. So we're going to get that cranking as well.
Fingers crossed you need not pay tribute to the Detroit Pistons for too long. May the odds be forever in Detroit's favor. I do expect, as much fun as I think a New York-Detroit series that would be, I almost think it would be more fun from just like a battle perspective of Detroit and Boston at this point. Sorry, Doug. Sorry, Ace. Sorry, Josh there as well, or New York fans.
But I would rather not face Boston personally. I would rather avoid it altogether. So
I just think it'd be a great series. These teams have so much history. The way they match up, they play such different styles, but they both play with so much gusto. They both have heavy emphasis on defense, although I guess New York is like one of the best defenses in the league right now somehow.
Top 5, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been playing really well.
Crazy how things can turn around for a team like that. But check out Keith's stuff. Go there on Friday. Go ask a question. Tell him we sent you, and he'll be like, I don't care. Just give us a question.
Oh, that's not
true. It's fun but Keith, thanks so much again for joining our show. Mickey, we end the show. We end the show the same way we always do, which is just by reading the acronym OOBH aloud, because that's how a horse would talk anyway, and sound if they could talk. Not if they were playing. But as always, I've been Harry.
And I'm Mickey. Thanks so much, Keith. That was a ton of fun, man.
No, for sure. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it again, you guys.